I'm a science professor, so I feel obliged to start with a little quiz to gauge your prior knowledge. Who can name the Earth's 3 soil layers? 3 simple machines found on a bicycle? How about 3 behavioral adaptations used by living organisms to survive the winter? If you can't answer all of these, please don't feel too bad. I typically speak among fellow science faculty, most with PhDs, and I've never met anybody who can answer all 3 of these questions. And this is in spite of the fact that they come from our state science standards of learning for the 3rd grade. But here's a better question, I promise. Why are so many young people coming to our colleges and universities in droves, filled with a passion and an aptitude for the STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math, and then a full 60% of them are dropping out of those majors within the first 2 years. And those percentages are even higher for women and underrepresented minorities. This is happening at a time when experts predict that in the United States, we may need as many as 1 million more people in the STEM workforce this decade. The President's Council of Advisors in Science and Technology consists of some very smart people, university presidents, founders and CEOs of technology companies, Nobel laureates, and they were pretty quick to realize that all we need to do is improve retention in STEM by about 10%. That is, graduate just half of those young people who come to our universities in love with science, in their chosen majors, and we will easily have 1 million more STEM graduates. But to do so means that we, the science faculty, need to start bringing something very different to the classroom. And thanks to some excellent national data and what I've learned from my own students, I think I know what that something is. First of all, humility. And I recognize humility does not come easily in a learning environment like this one, with all eyes on the sage on the stage, and it seems to be our job just to show how much we know. And so we talk at our students and fill their heads with facts, and then complain that they don't remember all those facts that they were taught in their prior science classes using exactly the same approach. In contrast, welcome to my class, taught by a method called Scale Up, developed by Robert Buechner at North Carolina State University. In Scale Up, students work in teams on projects and problems and case studies, and oh, where am I? I'm there somewhere in the back, I promise. And that's the point. In Scale Up, the focus is on the students and their learning, and not so much on the professor. Even in my sophomore level class, my students are doing graduate level work, and they are remembering what they're learning. Now, the irony is not lost on me that I'm talking at you about not talking at our students. And there is a place for lecturing. In fact, I think 10 minutes is about the sweet spot to inform and inspire. But trust me, if we were going to be together for any longer this evening, we would all be donning headlamps and heading outside to take apart a bicycle or look for evidence of hibernation and dormancy in the natural world. Just as no one becomes a great musician simply by listening to the masters, and no coach would ever do the workout for his athletes, our students do not become scientists just by listening to us talk about science, nor do they get very excited doing so. We, the professors, are the ones finding the information and evaluating and synthesizing it and depriving our students of learning some of the most important work that scientists do. As my student Whitney has said, in Scale Up, we are all teachers and all students. We learn and then we share. That has to be my favorite part. That has to be my favorite part too, but it certainly takes some humility. Second, common sense. We science faculty complain that we can't cover all the information in the textbooks, and they seem to get a little bit thicker with every edition. And yet we keep trying to do that. In the field of cancer biology, where I work and teach, there were nearly 5,000 relevant articles published just this past week. There's no way I can cover all that. And a little common sense tells us that our role as domain expert is no longer simply to pass information on to our students. That hasn't been our job since the invention of the internet, or maybe I would argue even the invention of the printing press. But there is one fact I really instill in my students, and that's that in the United States, the lifetime incidence of cancer is 1 in 3 for women and 1 in 2 for men. And then I invite them on a journey with me to discover what we might do to change this sobering statistic. Employers are telling us to use a little common sense as well. Whenever we ask them what skills and qualities that they are looking for in recent college graduates, the list always looks very much like this one. And then when we ask those same employers how many of our recent graduates are coming to the workforce with these skills, they're telling us very few. And yet we are not helping students learn teamwork or creativity or ethics in our traditional science classes. We're too busy filling their heads with facts that they're not always remembering anyway. And so we need to make sure we're teaching the right stuff and that we're putting the learner center stage. But most importantly, our students need to be motivated and see themselves as scientists. Educational researchers have been studying my cancer biology class to see why the students are so highly motivated. In cancer biology, the students work in teams to produce a public work that shows a deep understanding of and adds value to what are known as the 6 hallmarks of cancer. One team produced a gallery quality series of paintings, one depicting each hallmark, paired with another illustrating a promising new molecular therapy that they had researched. Another team published a storybook to explain the hallmarks to children who were dealing with cancer. A third, well, they pretty much ignored my assignment entirely, and they embarked on an independent research project to debunk a prevailing theory about what's known as the role of genomic instability in cancer. And that work is presently in its final stages of preparation for publication. These students are working like crazy. They're taking some real risks, and I don't think they're doing it just for a grade. The educational research has shown that there are a number of factors that contribute to their high motivation, but the single most important by far turns out to be that they know that I care about them. Really. I think for my students, caring means having permission to bring their whole selves to the class. My students blog weekly, and it's there that many choose to share their personal cancer stories. Like Kathy, who took us all on her family's 8-year journey as her dad battled metastatic stage 4 renal cell carcinoma. Because as Kathy wrote, cancer should always be told in the first person. This is not unique to my class. The 2014 Gallup-produced study of what correlated with success and well-being among college graduates found no difference between public and private institutions, very few demographic differences, but the study found this: the odds of college graduates being engaged in their place of work were significantly higher if they had had even one professor who made them excited about learning, cared about them as a person, or encouraged them to pursue their dreams. And the number of college graduates who report having had these experiences is shamefully low. What business do we have in higher education if we're not doing this at the very least? Humility, common sense, and caring. This is what I believe we need to bring to the classroom to improve retention in STEM. And that leads back to the big question: where will we find 1 million more STEM graduates? That's the easy question. I say to my fellow science faculty, we are looking right at them. The real question is, what will we start doing differently with them? As Jay Laboff of the National Academies has said, improving science education is not rocket science. It's actually a whole lot harder. But isn't this what we owe to society, and especially to our students? And finally, to my My dear, dear students, I say to you, please do not give up. We need you, and change is coming. That I promise you. Thank you.